What is up, guys? In today's video we're going to be talking about the Megazord scan medallion and whether or not this is worth getting in season 4. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below if you've been going for this medallion or if you've mostly just been ignoring it. So if you guys did not know what the Megazord scan medallion does, it will periodically scan the area, marking enemy players that are nearby when the scan happens to take place. And the cooldown on this is about a minute or so. I don't know the exact time, and it's kind of hard to test in a custom match because you can't just get it on your own. But I think it's between like 50 seconds and a minute. It's a pretty significant cooldown, and it is somewhat comparable to that of the hired NPCs and the cooldown they have to scan the area. We had the Emma Frost scan medallion in Chapter 5, and one key difference between that medallion and this one is that with the Emma Frost medallion, the cooldown was per player, whereas the way the Megazord medallion functions, the cooldown seems to be applied to the medallion itself. And what this means is when you pick it up, it won't immediately scan until the timer has, once again reached 0, allowing you to scan. And that means you can't share it to your teammates as easily. When every player had their own individual cooldown in Chapter 5, you could kind of just have one player carry it the entire time on your squad or team. And then if you needed a scan like in a tight moment, you could drop it to a teammate, and since they haven't had it in a while, it would scan right away if it had been long enough since they last had a scan. But now that it's applied to the medallion itself, you can't do that, and this also makes it kind of unfortunate if you eliminate someone who dropped it, because it used to be that you would get a scan immediately when picking it up, and that could be really helpful when it comes to dealing with third parties. The way you get this medallion is quite simple. All you have to do is be the player in the lobby that does the most damage to the Megazord once he spawns in. This happens at second zone, and most of the spawn locations for the Megazord are around the middle of the map. So you'll need to get there somewhat early. You need to do a certain amount of damage to unlock the boon, which we'll get to later on. And then the damage you get starts to actually count towards the damage meter, or who has most damage in the lobby to get the medallion. So there is like an initial stage there. It's not like you just show up, shoot him a little bit, and then hope to get it. You actually need to deal a good amount of damage just to get the boon. And then from that point on, that's where like the race for the medallion actually starts. There are purple spots on the Megazord, which will give you bonus damage when you shoot it. But if you're kind of late to getting there, usually these purple spots kind of get destroyed somewhat quickly. Or maybe they go away once the Megazord defeats the Queen. I'm not too sure on that, but it seems like there isn't always those critical spots there. And so this makes it somewhat risky, because not only do you have to go into the area where you could potentially be threatened by the Megazord because you have to be somewhat close to him, there's also likely many other players going to be doing this as well. And you need to be the one who gets the most damage on the Megazord to get the medallion. So there's a lot of steps to it. And these steps kind of put you in harm's way, whether it be the Megazord or other third parties. So the risk at getting this is actually quite high. And then you also have the risk of being marked on the map. So like every other medallion, when you have this in your inventory, you will be marked on the map for other players. And it's not like the circle for this medallion is incredibly small. But one unfortunate circumstance of the game currently, if you want to use this medallion, is that this is the only medallion in the game right now. And if you're playing public matches, and I don't even think it's in ranked. So this is the only medallion in the game right now for public matches. And I feel like that makes putting yourself on the map a little more threatening than it usually would be. If there's like 4 medallions on the map, then not everybody focuses at one. But with having only one medallion in the game like this, you have pretty much every aggressive player left in the lobby at that point wanting to search for you. And at times in the past when we had medallions, you would often get to that point in the game anyways, where like you've collected all the medallions or you've collected all the good medallions. But usually when that has happened, by the time you've gotten all the medallions like that, you've taken out most of the other threats in the lobby. With how this medallion works and it being the only one in the game, you often put yourself on the map at a time where there's still potentially other decent players or other good players left in the lobby. And not only does the medallion put you on the map, but the scan itself gives away your location because it kind of emanates from you. So anybody who kind of knows what they're looking for in the area, if you scan, sure, you can mark people, but also you're giving your location away to people looking for you. And I feel like a lot of times when I've had this medallion this season, it seems like everybody is kind of gunning for you at that point. So I feel like the downside while it's the same as what medallions typically have, it's a bit more noticeable with this season, I feel like, just because it's the only one, and because people are kind of bored from that point in the game, and so they might just like rush you. So I think this medallion is potentially not worth it. If you just don't care about putting yourself on the map, and you don't care about having a lot of people rush you and potentially third party you, then sure, use this medallion, you'll get some, you know, benefit out of it. But the scan it gives, I feel like, is really not that great, and the cooldown on it feels really significant. There's definitely times where a scan will happen and you'll mark a player that you weren't aware of, or you'll mark somebody hiding in a bush or something, and in a moment like that, it's like, wow, the medallion was really good. But with how slow it scans, it's not like you're just never going to get caught off guard anymore, or you're always going to know where everybody is. The scan time on this medallion is less than that of the, like, the cooldown, sorry, is longer than what the scan item we had last season. So it's like, it doesn't really scan that frequently. And as I said, I feel like the downside is a little more pronounced than usual, on top of the fact that you need to be dealing with the Megazord. If all you want to do is win right now and you don't really care about getting this, I feel like your match is going to be a lot easier, because dealing with the Megazord, it's not the most difficult thing in the world, but it is a risk, and it's something that can go south pretty quickly, whether the Megazord hits you or whether a third party catches you off guard shooting at it. You're putting yourself in more risk to do that, to get a medallion it's okay, but it's not great, which is also going to put you at further risk for the remainder of the game. So I think the match is probably going to play out a bit easier if you ignore the Megazord, and then maybe get it off the player who did the most damage to the Megazord, or just ignore it from that point on. But like I said, I think it's just easier if you ignore it and then get it off the player. Otherwise, that's probably the easiest way to get it. And it gives you something to do at the later stages of the game. And as I touched on, oftentimes the player who has this medallion will just be in like a chain third-party situation. So if you catch good timing on that, you can potentially get it for free, get a lot of loot, get a lot of the more threatening players out of the lobby. You kill a lot of birds with one stone there. So this medallion is okay. It's not great, and I definitely think it's ignorable if you are someone who doesn't really like advertising your location on the map. One interesting thing is that with the airstrike, you can actually deal an absurd amount of damage to the Megazord incredibly quickly and guarantee that you'll get the medallion pretty much. But also, this is a bit of a struggle to make work, because you need to be pretty close to call in the airstrike and guarantee that the Megazord is going to be there by the time it works, you know? Also, getting the airstrike by second zone, it's not impossible, but like, you need to be pretty quick with your early game looting to get to a bunker fast enough to get the airstrike to be able to call it in on the Megazord. So there's a lot of steps there, but if you can make it work, the airstrike will nuke the Megazord and eliminate him pretty quickly. And then as far as his boon goes, with Superman, I often recommended trying to get some shots on him, because his boon was something that was really helpful throughout the remainder of the game. I don't think the Megazord boon is that useful. What it does is it makes you regenerate ammo over time, which sounds really good, and it is good when you're trying to shoot at the Megazord, because you don't have to worry as much about wasting ammo. But the way ammo works in Fortnite, it's often a problem up until a certain point in the game. By the time Megazord spawns its second zone, and at that point in time, you should have a good amount of ammo because you've looted your early game location. And also, every other player in the game has also looted their early game locations. So I feel like ammo shouldn't be a concern at this point in time. You should have more than enough. And everybody you eliminate should also have a good amount, to the point where like a kill or two in the mid game is something that's going to put you at basically max ammo in public matches. In ranked and competitive, it can play out a bit different at times. But in public matches, by second, third zone, pretty much any elimination you get makes you max ammo, and so it's really not that big of a problem. Some team game modes can be a bit different because you need to spread ammo around, but also if you kill a squad, that's 4 people whose loot you get access to. So I really don't think this boon is that worthwhile, and it also takes a lot longer to get than the Superman boon did. With the Superman boon, you got better sprint for the remainder of the game, and that's just like a benefit I feel like that is always consistent and good to have. Whereas the ammo boon, it's useful up until the point where you eliminate someone who's stacked on ammo, and then you have max, and basically every elimination you get from that point has max. So like the benefit of this boon has a small window of time where I think it's useful, but also the amount of time it takes to get is much longer than the Superman. I think the Superman was like 100 damage or so. which could be done in a couple AR shots. With the Megazord boon, it's like mags of AR that you need to dump into the Megazord in order to get this boon, which like at an eventual point will make you net positive on the amount of ammo you spent, but you got to spend a decent amount of ammo just to get the boon itself. So it's like if ammo is a huge concern of yours, probably can't get this boon anyways, and you're better off eliminating other players. But that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys found this to be helpful, informative, interesting. This medallion's okay, but it's not worth the risk. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.